I thought I could easily knock down this heavyweight.
This video reminds me of a conversation that I had the other day. So I'm a historical reenactor, and a lot of my friends do the medieval armored combat fighting. Not the Nerf weapons or the steel weapons, but the weapons made out of wood or rattan. And I don't participate in that. And the reason why I don't is because that sport is not separated out by sex. And I have been around it for more than 20 years at this point, and I've just seen too much. I've seen women get their collarbones broken and all kinds of injuries because our bodies aren't designed to take that kind of damage. Because even with the protective gear and things, when you are a small woman, like this woman here who's 5'5", even though she's, I guess, technically above average height, when you go up against a guy who is 6'7", and there's a lot more of those guys running around there than you'd think there would be, but nature takes its course, and you get messed up bad. My stance and my saying on the whole situation is I'm never going to put myself in a situation where I'm voluntarily going to let a large man hit me. No, that's not a thing. Now, if it's a life or death situation, hey, you got to do what you got to do. You'll have an easier time getting a cat in a bathtub than you will with me. But I'm still not going to do any of this. This is silly. So a couple weeks ago, I'm sitting around a campfire with two of my girlfriends, and we're talking about the fighting group, and they say that one of the girls there, I'll just call her Freya, and they say, oh, Freya's so tough, she could definitely fight a guy. And I just start to go out of my mind, and I'm like, hey, there is not a single guy in this camp right now that Freya could take. I'm not saying anything about her, her fighting skills, one-on-one woman versus woman, but against a man. And we were talking about not just like in armor fighting. I was talking specifically about out of armor fighting. But they were very insistent that Freya could really just fight a guy. Personally, I don't think Freya could take me in a fight, and I'm not trying to fight any men. Or really any women. I'm not this overly tough individual. I don't think that a lot of women will really understand the difference between men and women until they get punched in the face. And that actually happened to me. It happened in the ring, so it wasn't any kind of crazy at home situation. When I got punched by the girl, I just ate it. It was just a shot, like boom, whatever, and then, we continue to go back and forth. It's not that big of a deal. It is not the end of the world. When the guy hit me, and I guess I found out later, he said he was only hitting me with like a quarter strength, but he was another one of these giant guys, like huge, like 6 foot, I don't know what, 200 and I don't know how many pounds. When he hit me and he said only at a quarter of his strength or whatever, my jaw, I heard it pop. I thought it broke, and I just dropped straight to the ground and like immediately was just crying. There was nothing I could do. So yeah, that is the moment the femme left my body forever. It was like, oh my gosh. And I have been frightened of men ever since then. Pretty much, yeah. I always knew men were stronger than women, but I didn't quite know that it was to that extent until that moment.
We argued that the only reason people admire bodybuilders who have built their body with muscle and not obese people who have built their body with eating huge amounts of food is because there's prejudice against fat people. And so bodybuilding could benefit from including the non-competitive display of fat bodies alongside muscular ones.
I started washing parts in a gas bucket when I was 12 years old, and I wound up teaching at the highest level for General Motors, Cadillac division. There's no higher than that.
You can fix anything but me.
Can't fix stupid.
She did a good job.
Gotcha. Men need to understand that some of these girls bring friends to a date because of safety, not for your food and drinks. Why are you going on a date with me if you don't feel safe? That tells me that you just entering into a dangerous situation for no reason. And first off, we going on a date, so we've been talking and you think I'm dangerous? What are we dating for? Yeah, okay.
A woman who doesn't take safety precautions when going on dates with people she doesn't really know that well is a fool. That being said, though, just to bring friends to a date is weird. If you're not comfortable being alone with this guy, then I would suggest a double date or a group date. But yes, you guys are way bigger than us, you're way stronger than us, and you are capable of hurting us. So we have to act out of an abundance of caution until we get to know you better.
Hey, fine, whatever. Bring your friend. She ain't coming in. She's safety, right? Stay outside. Stay in the car or something. Secure the perimeter. Defend against everybody that could be possibly harming us. Or is she defending you against me? Is that the safety? Am I the safety hazard? Because it doesn't sound like we should be hanging out if I'm the safety hazard. Like, if you think I could possibly do something to you, why are we hanging out in the first place? Isn't that the whole point? We going on a date. That's one-on-one, not one-on-two. And if she come, pay your own tab. I'm not paying for it. This ain't no group date. I just don't get this. Sound like you need to make some better choices to enter in a dangerous situation for.
Dates with strangers are dangerous situations. The better choice then, according to you, would mean that we would never date at all. Or you would have to have some sort of arranged situation. But as a woman, you need to let people know who you are meeting and where you guys are going. And hey, if you don't hear from me from a certain time, call me or call the police. I could be in danger. This is just common sense. Just like it's also common sense that if she's bringing her friends, you shouldn't be paying for her friends. That's crazy. It's also weird to be bringing your friends. That's just not how we do things in America. Unless, like I said before, it's a group date situation or a double date.
Wrote about this very thing in a book called Fans Have More Friends. Ben Valenta, David Sigorjak join us right now. They're good buddies. All right, Ben, first off, what do you mean the best thing you could do for your social development is to be a sports fan?
Well, we recognize that being a fan is inherently social. It's something that we share with other people. And what we set about to do was measure the impact of that socializing. And what we found was fans, in fact, have more friends. And engagement amplifies its effect. So the bigger fan you are, the more friends you're going to have. And it's not just that you have more friends, but you engage with those people more frequently, and you value those relationships more.
So, Ben, you're not just doing this because you have a feeling. You guys ran the stats on this, correct? Tell us what you found when you ran the analytics.
Well, that's correct. I mean, so we had a hunch as sports fans ourselves who have worked in the sports industry for a decade or so, that this is what fandom was all about. This is what drove people to engage with sports. But we set about to try and measure that. And so we've, over the last several years, pulled tens of thousands of people around the country. We've amassed a huge data set, and the results are undeniable. Not only do fans have more friends, but because of all of that additional socializing, they are happier. They're more confident. They're more optimistic. They're more grateful. They're more satisfied in their life. They are more likely to be registered to vote. They're more likely to give to charity. There's this cascade of wellness markers. That's true. It's true. There's this cascade of wellness markers that are associated with fandom, and we want to call attention to that, and we want people that are fans already to lean into that fandom.
And David, in particular, you know, people say, well, you're watching them play. They're having the experience. You're just watching it. How could I benefit from it? What are you having? This is kind of like an in to social conversations. I don't know that guy or that woman over there, but I'll find out. The Rangers beat the Islanders 3-2. Maybe they're an Islander fan. Or you talk about going to the game. It starts off a relationship. It doesn't have to end there.
That's exactly it. We are watching because we are watching sports not for what's going on the court, which is important, or on the field, but we're watching because of each other. And it gives us opportunities to go to a game together, or even if we're watching by ourselves and sending a text to someone. These are constant moments we have to reach out to someone, say how it's going, but the code for how it's going is, can't believe the Phillies game.
Don't want Leroy to celebrate, but you can combat that by using my Buy Me a Coffee link to buy him a dog treat. Just listen to the little guy crunching back there. He loves his treats. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Red Dawn Daily with your host, me, Dawn Marie, and sometimes Leroy. Oh, Leroy, you look like you're ready for a siesta. You look so cute in your sombrero. You really do.